Right, so for today's video, we have some attorney drama. Now, when I say we have attorney drama, I'm sure that there is a big bunch of you watching this video that are probably expecting me to talk about someone specifically, you know, Jeanette might be the name. Turns out we're not talking about Jeanette today. We're actually talking about a completely new attorney in a completely new piece of drama. But either way, let me introduce you to the people you need to be aware of in this situation. The first one being Tara Rule, a TikToker with 441,000 followers. And Tara has recently posted a number of videos talking about her experience with her attorney, and we see a lot of messages throughout these videos from her attorney Matthew. At first in these videos, Tara is using like a different name as kind of like I don't know, like a code name, so like the name's anonymous. Later on, she goes on to just like say that his name is Matthew. But I actually remember seeing the first video from Tara about this situation about a month ago at this point, and there wasn't a lot of context yet, right? In the first video, it's a minute long. We just see this one message, and I was just thinking, that message sounds absolutely insane, but we don't have much context as to what's actually happened here. Well, actually today, I just realized that there is a lot more context added to this situation with these newer videos. Now let's actually take a look at this first video that Tara uploaded, where she is talking about how she recently hired an attorney. They didn't do their job, so she asked for a refund.
I hired an attorney to do a job and he didn't do the job within the time frame we agreed upon, so I asked for a refund and he said no, he wouldn't give me a refund. So I said I would unfortunately have to probably report him to the state bar and let others know. And this is how he responded at 8:45 p.m. in a text message.
Okay, so you get the gist of it, right? Someone's asking for a refund because a service that they had paid for wasn't actually provided. We've spoke about situations like this previously, maybe not with attorneys, but we've spoke about similar situations. Now, this response to about a read from Matthew is actually insane, so let's have a read. Given that you are already disabled and short on resources, I don't want to seek to pressure you with any defamation lawsuit that could bury you in financial strain, but I will do so if you pursue that route, and I will obtain all damages available to my office. It's not a can of worms you want to open, Tara. Okay, right, let's unpack this message. So straight away he's saying, given that you are already disabled and short on resources, I don't want to seek to pressure you with any defamation lawsuit. He is basically saying, or at least this is how I'm taking it, is like, I could ruin you if you go like forward with this, but you know what, I'll pity you because of your situation, or you're disabled. I don't want to do this to you. Like, he's trying to convince Tara that this isn't a route that she wants to go down and using her disability against her. And like I said, as we go through these newer videos, there are a lot more messages that we can read through and see how this situation really played out. But this just in itself, like as a separate message, is a wild response from a professional attorney, right? I don't see how you get to a point where you're sending a message like that to your client. And I mean, not to mention that he's saying that he will sue her for defamation, and if she was to report him to the state bar, like she's saying that she was thinking about doing, and she just like explains what actually happened and there's proof of what's happening, right? Because it's all on messages, emails, whatnot. How could that ever possibly be defamation? And this is an attorney who's saying this, right? But obviously, I think he's using the fact that he is an attorney to be like, right, I could definitely do this, to really try and convince you that you are in a position where you will be sued. Now, that video ended up getting 500,000 views. Like I said, I saw that original video when it was first uploaded, or maybe like a few days after it was first uploaded, and there wasn't much added context at that point. But since then, we do have some updates with further context. Now, in the second video, Tara does actually start off by showing that she did get a refund for $1,500, as we can see right here. But as we'll also see later, is that this attorney may have given the refund, but is still saying like he might be going down the defamation route because of like these videos and whatnot. So we'll get to that. So Tara tells a story about how she ended up working with this attorney and says that it was actually recommended from another attorney.
I reached out to a number of attorneys in my area regarding a civil dispute, and one attorney in particular said they couldn't take my case. However, they referred me to another attorney, and that other attorney is the attorney in question. We will call him Mark. Mark and I discussed my needs, and he offered to provide a number of services to me for a flat fee of $1,500, and he said this was way down from the $5,000 he would normally charge for this, but because I was on Social Security disability and that I'm disabled, he felt bad for me.
Okay, so he says that he's giving a discount because she is disabled and he feels sorry for her, I guess, but then kind of uses the fact that she's disabled against her to kind of scare her into not reporting what happened to the state bar. Now here we see the agreement between Tara and the attorney Matthew. It says this agreement will not take effect and attorney will have no obligation to provide legal services until client returns a signed copy of this agreement and pays a deposit called for under paragraph 3. All work performed prior to execution of the agreement shall be compensated at the rates contemplated by this agreement and shall be subject to the terms of this agreement. So they have an agreement in place, as you would expect, right? Tara then goes on to say that the deadline for this work was February 1st, which is very important to this story.
I contacted him early January. By mid-January, everything was signed, and the agreement was to have the letters, a draft of the letters completed and sent to me for my review prior to February 1st. So we discussed that these letters had to be sent out before February 1st. January 25, just confirming he got everything okay. He said he did. Now, in everything includes a Dropbox folder of all of the other people in question, like their contact information, all that.
Okay, so far these text messages are obviously just the normal text messages you would expect, just kind of going through everything with the information, the payments, this Dropbox with the information for the case and whatnot, just the normal stuff you would expect. Now this is where things start to go wrong, because as it's getting closer to the deadline, it seems like Matthew isn't too good at replying. Yeah, so as you can see, he's basically saying like, thanks for your patience, been in a trial all week, blah, 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 everything is nearly completed. It should be going out either later today or tomorrow. Tara did explain that the letters were supposed to be sent to her first as a draft, so she can go through them and confirm them before they're sent to anybody. And as we can see here, there wasn't a further reply, and Tara ended up messaging on February 2nd, the day after the deadline, still didn't get a reply, and ended up messaging again on February 3rd. These messages, as you can see, are basically just asking for a copy of the letters, and then another message saying, hi, sorry to bother you again, but time is really of the essence on this, so on, basically saying like, we'll pass the deadline now, like, where are the letters? And then on February 4th, we can see that Matthew finally replies and says, hi Tara, sorry for the delayed reply, yes, I will forward everything to you, I'm in the middle of something today, but I can give you a call tomorrow to go over everything, so bear in mind we're obviously already a few days late at this point. And then again, we're just back to no reply, so at this point Tara is saying like, look, I'm gonna need a refund. Okay, so let's take a look through this message. It says, dear Mr. Redacted, I hope this letter finds you well, I'm writing to formally request a refund of the $1,500 flat fee that I paid for legal services that haven't been completed within the time frame. On January 22nd, supposed to say, we made the arrangements for you to draft and send a letter. Then it's the information of the person who the letter is supposed to be sent to per our agreement. These letters were supposed to be sent out within a week. However, despite several delays, we reached a final agreement that the letters would be sent out by last Friday. As of today, they have still not been sent, and I have experienced a continued lack of communication regarding this matter. So yeah, she's basically saying, you haven't completed the work, I need a refund. Fair enough. But then Matthew finally replies because a refund has been requested, and he's saying like, I have completed the work and they have been sent out. He starts saying that he doesn't have the address of where to send them out to, which is a bit confusing in itself, and then says like, I'm going to send you the draft later on.
So then he replied. So he would reply, but only if I was like, hey, I need a refund. So now all of a sudden he said he had already sent the letters out, right? And when he already told me he sent the letters out, but now all of a sudden he's saying that he didn't have any addresses, which again was all in the Dropbox folder.
And at this point, it seems like Matthew seemingly gets caught out a little bit, right? Because he sends over these letters and the dates are saying like it was completed within the deadline, but then there's one date in particular that doesn't say it was completed in the deadline, and it seems like maybe he just missed that.
So the day I was like, hey, I'm gonna need a refund, the 6th or whatever, he said, here are the letters that I sent out. He dated it for this. But on the other page, you could see what it was automatically dated for, which was the date I said I wanted a refund. He really backdated these letters. And when he said they were done weeks prior, they really weren't.
Yeah, I mean, from that itself, just from what we're seeing, it does seem like he did just complete them on the day when the refund was requested and was like, oh, let me just change the date of this bit, and missed one of the dates. Also, the fact that the letters have apparently been sent out without Tara's approval seems insane to me, right? Because she just said there's some inaccuracies with the claim. Like, she has to have at least looked through them before they're sent out, surely. And the thing is, we have no idea what this claim is, right? We don't see, like, the full letters of what she's claiming or what's happening. It's apparently something to do with small claims court. We don't actually know what's going on there, but just from an attorney and a client point of view, this seems like a bit of a nightmare. Now again, at this point, Tara is replying and saying like, look, I need a refund.
So then I said, look, once again, I'm requesting a refund. So then he sends me a long string of text messages late at night, 8 p.m.
Okay, right, so let's take a look through these messages. It says, Tara, are you free for a call? I'd like to clear some things up. This part of the message we can't really see because there's comments in the way, but it carries on to say, I'm going to reply to all of the points in your text and email this evening. As an update, I went ahead and sent out the letters today. I'm unfazed by your threats of subsequent action against me. Okay, right? So he's basically saying like, fuck your threats, I guess. I'm not really sure what threats he's talking about. From what Tara's saying, unless I'm missing something here, it's like that she said she would go to the state bar and like report this basically, so I think that's what he's talking about. But either way, the text carries on and says, I went ahead and incorporated those changes, so now we have to wait and see how someone responds. I'm willing to work with you, Tara, but your threats need to come to an end. I have grounds to terminate our relationship, and we don't get to see the rest of the message. Now, we do see the email that Tara actually sent here, right, that she was talking about. It's a fairly long email, basically saying, like, the work wasn't complete, so now she's asking for a refund. You can see it through here. I'm not going to read through it all. It's kind of the similar stuff that we've already heard so far. Now, looking through this, again, I'm assuming the part that he's replying to where he's saying the threats need to stop is because she ended by saying the California bar has a number of rules that are intended to protect the client of situations like this. And it does say a bit further up that the fact that he wasn't communicating and didn't complete it until after the deadline is a breach of your duty to me as your client. So if this is really all she said, I don't really know what he's going on about in his reply. Now, at this point, Tara ends up replying to that message with, like, a bunch of laws, so, like, she's citing a bunch of laws and whatnot, as you can see on screen right now, saying that she requested her refund to be processed within 3 business days from the date of this letter. If I do not receive a resolution within the time frame, I will file a complaint with the California State Bar and pursue legal action against you. Furthermore, as a disabled content creator, I believe the court of public opinion would take issue with for this situation, and I am prepared to escalate the matter publicly if necessary. And now it's at this point that Matthew replies with that message we actually saw in the beginning. Now, there is a bit at the start of this message that we didn't see in the original video. It says, I understand that you're upset, but I caution you to take a step back and refrain from any rash decisions that may jeopardize something. Again, this comment's like blocking a lot of the message here. You've also alluded to blasting me in your content in the court of public opinion. However, this is defamation and opens you up to liability. Now, from the best I know, I mean, look, I'm not an attorney, but everything I've ever heard about this is that it would only be defamation if she's lying. So if she's telling the story exactly how it happened, from the best of my knowledge, it can't be defamation. And usually I would say that with 100% confidence, but apparently we're talking about an attorney here, right, who's saying it is defamation. But to me, in my opinion, it does seem like he's just saying this because he is an attorney, so you should believe him, right? That's what he probably thinks. Unless he does honestly believe that Tara is lying in her videos, and he has some way of proving that, of course. But either way, the message carries on with what we actually read earlier. There's this message saying, given that you are already disabled and short on resources, I don't want to seek to pressure you with any defamation lawsuit that could bury you in financial strain. And then here we see Tara's reply to this that says, this message serves as a formal response to your recent communications in which you have engaged in threatening and something, again, the comment's blocking it. I wish this comment wasn't here. Your failure to fulfill our verbal and written agreement, your unauthorized actions, and your explicit threats constitute multiple violations of professional and legal standards under California law. She then goes on to say what went against the agreement, like stuff like, you sent out the letters on my behalf without my approval, which has caused potential harm to my case. You only sent out letters way past the deadline after I stated I wanted a refund due to you missing the deadline. I told you the information was not correct and you sent it anyway. This not only breaches our agreement, but also constitutes a violation of Rule 1 something communication of the California. Again, we can't really see it. This email is very long, so I'll show on screen right now if you do want to take a look and read, but it's basically just going through each point that she feels like she kind of has like a case against him, like your threats to pursue legal action against me for publicly sharing my truthful experiences constitutes an unethical legal threat under Rule 310 of the California Rules of Professional Conduct, which prohibits attorneys from threatening criminal, administrative, or disciplinary charges to obtain an advantage in a civil dispute. And then Tara ends the email by saying what she will do next if the amount isn't paid and processed within 3 days. And it says, 1, file a formal complaint with the California State Bar regarding your misconduct. 2, initiate legal proceedings against you for your breach of contract, professional negligence, and discriminatory threats. 3, publicly share my truthful experience in an effort to protect other disabled individuals, which is fully protected under the law of free speech. And then says, I urge you to reconsider your position, and so on. Now, Tara does end this video by saying that she has been refunded, but she has been told that she probably should still report this to the state bar by other attorneys.
So I have been refunded, hence the redacted name. However, I've spoken to a few people, including other attorneys that I'm friends with that practice in other states, and they told me regardless I should contact the bar because this is really wild behavior for an attorney, I guess.
Now, in a later update that Tara actually uploaded, we do kind of see a response to the videos she has made previously. And it's again in an email from Matthew that says, in light of the ongoing written threats you have made against me in my office unless a refund was provided, I have opted to issue a refund effective as of this morning. The transaction was processed immediately and you should see the funds in your account today. So the fact that he did refund it as an attorney and the way he's kind of been talking throughout this whole situation, I would assume that he wouldn't have refunded it if he did have a case to not refund it. But either way, the email carries on and says, I've also become aware that you have already posted multiple negative videos on TikTok that defame my character and my office. In the spirit of compromise, now that I have satisfied the terms of your refund demand, I expect that these posts will be taken down and no further defamatory posts will be made on any social media platform in any capacity. Failure to comply may result in potential legal action against you. I sincerely hope you can move forward from this and wish you the best in your future endeavors. To which Tara replied to this email saying, 1, I redacted your name. 2, everything I said is true. 3, I'm on fixed income. Good luck collecting any sort of judgment against me in court. 4, you clearly don't know what defamation is. 5, since you threatened me again, I'll be posting your name to warn others. Now, looking at the comments on these videos, it definitely seems like most people are on Tara's side here. Like, this comment here that says you 100% can sue him for that. Another comment here saying you should let the attorney who referred you to them know, because geez. Another comment here saying yes, absolutely, still contact the bar. What he did deserves so much more consequences than the refund he already owed you, and the next person might not be able to fight back like you did. So yeah, that is all the information it seems like we have at this point. It's been a few weeks now, and there hasn't been any further updates, so I feel like this is probably the end of the story that we're seeing here. So I would love to know your opinions in the comment section down below on everything that we spoke about in today's video. If you did enjoy, leave a like, subscribe, all that stuff, and until the next one, I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, goodbye.